Told the right way, any story can sound appealing. For some, life in the drug trade can paint an almost heartwarming picture, elevating many from rags to riches, glamour, excitement, and power.
Yet, this is the same trade that brings widespread destruction to users, their families, and in the end, societies. Drug trafficking features in organized crime, terrorism, and gang-related activities like money laundering. Tonight, the story we tell is on drugs, the Jamaica connection.
Crime Stop Jamaica 311, in association with TVJ, Musson Foundation, National Bakery, King Alarm, and Grace Kennedy, present CS311 with Deirdre Dixon and Leroy Hall.
Considering that Jamaica is not a producer of the vast majority of drugs abused in the world, this small island is definitely a major international player in the narcotics trade.
We hold the title of major exporter of marijuana to the US and the Caribbean, and our location makes us an ideal transit point for substances such as cocaine, hashish, and a range of synthetic drugs.
Just how much is Jamaica under the influence of the drug world? We found out more from Corporal Dwight Morgan from the JCF's Narcotics Division.
Narcotics are categorized as opiates, and in some jurisdictions, marijuana, cocaine, LSD, and PCP are included. The most widely used substances in Jamaica, apart from marijuana, will be crack cocaine and, by extension, alcohol and nicotine. The reason for the influx of cocaine in the island at this time speaks to a couple of things. The intelligence apparatus of the Narcotics Division has been heightened. Because of that, we are seizing more and arresting more. As well as when pressure is put on individuals who are involved in this smuggling ring, then when international partners come in play, you'll find that a lot of the drugs will come to Jamaica because of our geographical location. We are used as a transshipment port, not as a market for cocaine, but as a transshipment port. So it comes here, and when the individuals so involved are being chased by international agencies, they will discard the substance in our waters, and then you'll have it on the island as a result of that. Narcotics are smuggled in and out of the island in various ways. We have the Cessna and Piper planes that used to do back in the days the airdrop in remote areas, and then you have the go-fast boats, again in remote area, coming into remote areas of the island, because Jamaica is used as a transshipment port, not a source country. So the drug is taken into Jamaica because our borders are not properly secured. And then you have the human couriers, drug mules. You have agricultural products, you have can items, concealed sections of containers. Narcotics is still used as a currency for illegal weaponry. And in recent times, we would have seen some high-power weapons brought into the island as a result of the exchange, the gun for drugs trade. The high crime rate speaks to the fact that we're having challenges with drugs and with young people. Persons are using mostly marijuana in Jamaica, and mostly the boys. The JCF has a lot of challenges as it relates to the fight against illegal drugs. Chief among them is that we have legislations that really needs updating. They are not current with what is happening in terms of the drug trade. We also have a problem with resources, both human and otherwise. Lack of vehicles, lack of equipment to go into the areas where the ganja is planted, aerial support to do the eradication effectively. One of the other problems that we also have is the problem with corruption. Drugs is very lucrative financially, and therefore a lot of people are being influenced by the finances attached to the drug trade. And of such, it makes the job extremely difficult because they're able to corrupt police officers and civilians. Import and export of illicit substances in and out of Jamaica has to do with organized crime. So both people locally and abroad are involved in the whole trade. And so we have what is a transnational crime issue that needs to be dealt with. I would warn the citizens of Jamaica not to get involved in the illegal drug activities. There's too much danger that comes with it. We are self-destructing as a people when we are so involved. We should be wise in the choices that we make and don't get involved in drugs so that Jamaica can be indeed the place to live, the place to have vacation, the place to work, and the place to enjoy life.
The drug trade works hand in hand with the trafficking of illegal firearms into the country, the very weapons that are responsible for most of the murders in Jamaica. More on drugs in a moment, but up next, our featured crime.
Well, on June 27, 2014, British businessman Keith Morin returned for a visit to his homeland, Jamaica. Little did he know that in a matter of mere hours, his stay would be cut short abruptly.
Having arrived from England, Mr. Keith Morin was picked up by his business partner at the Norman Manley International Airport. They set off for Portmore St. Catherine, where Mr. Morin was expected to stay. Upon reaching Fort Augusta Drive, near the Forum Beach, the business partner stopped to check the brake fluid. Keith Morin went to urinate.
At 2 p.m. on June 28, 2014, the body of Keith Morin was found buried in a cane field at the Bernard Lodge Sugar Estate. His car was abandoned nearby. Grieving family and friends are still in shock.
It's very hard to comprehend what happens to Keith. We can't get over it. We cannot, unless they find the person who done it.
Yes. Obviously, the circumstance he was taken from us was barbaric, so that would affect any family. But yeah, with us, it's really
it's hard.
Well respected by the wider community, especially the black community. He was known by doctors, MPs, so he was well known. So this came as a shock to everybody. It's caused a lot of anger because we're still struggling with
To make sense of it.
Yes, to make sense of how and why he was murdered in such a callous way. The murder of our beloved Keith Morin 3 years ago had a profound and traumatic effect on all the family and the wider community. We're trying to make sense of the loss and find a way to cope with the grief. In any circumstance like this, you'd want them to be caught and dealt with by the letter of the law.
We would like the government over there and the police here to get involved to solve this barbaric thing that they've done to Keith.
I reckon the reason for his demise and his murder was, I believe that it was driven by greed and jealousy and a desire for money.
I miss Keith so much. Keith was a gentleman. Keith was my son. He was a friend to me. You wouldn't believe that he's my son because we were body friends.
The family's gone through a combination of mixed emotions, anguish, anxiety, depression, sadness, helplessness, unable to move on with our lives.
Because I lost my husband. Keith stepped in as if he's the head of the family, and he was, because we all looked up to him.
Why has this happened to Keith? As he didn't deserve it. Keith was a kind person, and he would have given you anything he had. It
is a big loss. It's a big void, and that void can't be filled.
And the grief doesn't change. It doesn't go away. Every day that passes, it only gets harder.
Many questions still remain. Someone out there, maybe you, can help to answer them.
We cannot turn back time, but we can help justice prevail for this victim right now. The number to call is Crime Stop Jamaica 311. With that, we take a break. Be right back. When the government decriminalized the possession of small quantities of ganja in early 2015, many Jamaicans breathed a puff of relief.
But many of us are still a bit fuzzy on the details. Here are some things you should know.
Did you know? Brought to you by Musson Foundation. The possession of 2 ounces or less of weed, ganja, is now considered only a petty offense and not a major one. Police may still ticket individuals and give them a small fine that must be paid within 30 days. Failure to pay may result in a summons to Petty Sessions Court or an order to perform community service. Each household is allowed to cultivate up to 5 ganja plants for medicinal or therapeutic use or for horticultural purposes. Possession of over 2 ounces of ganja is considered a criminal offense, for which one may be arrested, charged and tried in court. The offense will also be recorded on one's criminal record. Don't be fooled. Ganja smokers are bound by the same rules that apply to cigarette smokers. Smoking within a 5-meter radius of the entrance, exit, window, ventilation intake of a public place or workplace is a violation. Smoking a spliff as a passenger or a driver of public transportation, including taxis, is prohibited. Decriminalize is not the same as legalize. Inform yourself about the law.
Countless innocent people have been tricked into transporting illegal substances and paid the ultimate price, loss of their freedom. Don't let this happen to you.
Did you book your flight?
Yes. But honestly,
What?
I still feel a little nervous. You don't think we may be rushing things?
Isn't it about time we meet each other in person?
Jano, it's only 5 weeks since we've been talking. What's the hurry? Plus, I don't know anybody up there.
Sounds like you don't know what you want in life. Maybe we should just forget this thing altogether.
No, honey, don't get vexed. I am new to this online dating thing, and you know how my family is. I can't tell them that I am flying up to spend the week with a man I barely know.
Forget them, sweetie. You're a grown woman, and by now you do know me. By the way, don't forget to pick up the package I asked you to bring for me.
The wig for your mother. You mean to tell me that they don't sell wigs up there in...
No, man. It's a gift from my aunt to my mom.
It's only because it's you. I don't carry packages for people when I am traveling. It's not safe.
Here we go again. What? You think I'm a drug runner? Boy, you're paranoid.
Breaking news. Woman arrested by U.S. Customs for illegal wig. Oh.
Amazing, you're so silly. Little does she know, Maisie won't get beyond the airport or connect with her true love, thanks to the ganja seed in her hand luggage. Hidden in, yes, you guessed it, a wig of all things. Don't fall victim to this popular scam. Drugs are smuggled in the most unlikely of items. When dealing with persons you really don't know, if you haven't packaged it yourself, don't carry it. No matter how innocent you may be, you are liable for arrest or imprisonment for anything illegal found in your luggage. Who's laughing now? Don't be scammed.
As we saw earlier, illegal substances are transported and concealed in the most unusual of places. Where will they think of next? Listen to this.
What you're looking at are ways in which drugs are smuggled in and out of the country. If you were looking at this, this says cocoa butter formula, it is Palmer's cocoa butter cream. And what the smugglers did is that if you open the top, you would really see cocoa butter. And then what they did was to make a false compartment, because beneath the little ring of cocoa butter is compressed ganja. This is supposedly veggie chunks. This is labeled veggie chunks, but it is really hashish. This is a brand new pair of sneakers, and most of these things are taken from large shipments. It's not just a one shoe, and in the sole of it, it is compressed ganja. There, and these sweets are marked Columbina, different colors, and contains cocaine. This is a insert, vaginal insert, and you have the anal insert, which is similar. So both men and male and female do this kind of smuggling. These are what are known as pellets. You can have the cocaine pellets or the ganja pellets, and these are swallowed by the persons we term as drug mules for the purpose of taking it in or out of the island. We have Blue Mountain coffee with compressed ganja. There are two things that happens here. The hashish resembles the coffee, and then the smell of the coffee, the scent of the coffee will be used to disguise the ganja smell. This is chocolate mixed with hashish again. So this is ganja coming out of the country in the form of chocolate. Sachets of Milo with compressed ganja in it. These are craft items, and if you look, you'll see the compressed ganja on the inside. Craft items like these, they use them for the purpose of smuggling, and nothing is spared. Even the very Bible is used as a method of smuggling, compressed ganja. The Jamaican bami, so the cassava is used for the outside and the compressed ganja is on the inside. And what they did was to weave the ganja with the wicker material. Another craft item, you'll find like tin cheese, akis, anything that is tinned, used for the smuggling purposes. There are other methods, false compartment in a knapsack. It is known for people to sew the ganja or the cocaine in the cuff of pants, the belt area, the sleeve, the cuff of the sleeves or the foot of the pants, and even to plait it in their hair. There are many, many ways. I don't think they are exhausting every means of getting the ganja, or the drugs, whether in or out of the island.
Stay with us. CS311 returns after this.
The criminal side to the drug trade is alarming, but the personal impact of drugs on the lives of users is even more heart-wrenching. We spoke to Morin-Abrahams of the NGO Rise Life Management about the complexities of substance abuse.
Safety tips brought to you by King Alarm.
The calls that come into us at Rise Life Management Services on our telephone lifeline, about between 63 to 68% of the calls come about ganja-related issues. About 19% is for alcohol, and somewhere between 2 and 6% is for cocaine. We also get calls for gambling, and we also get calls for tobacco. Generally, our boys might start at 14, 15, 16, and it's usually with ganja and alcohol. So as a parent, we need to be very vigilant. We need to pay attention to our children's friends, who they're hanging out with, because peer pressure is great. Teachers need to watch out for those students who might have been good students. They start smoking ganja and then their grades start to fall. So it's the behaviors, it's any change in behaviors, in their mode of dress, in their acting out behavior, their grades falling, and at home. Parents need to watch out for their sleeping patterns changing, if they're eating more or they're losing weight, and if their friends change. If any of those things are happening, then it's important for them to speak with their children, not in an aggressive way, because then you're not going to hear anything from them. Be your child's friend at that point, if it is at all possible. Even though their peers might have more influence on them, parents still have an influence. And same with teachers, same with community members. The male Jamaican child in their teenage days is very, very vulnerable. So our girl children tend to be more protected, and they're not really expected to use drugs, where our boy children are expected to smoke ganja. If it is marijuana, and unfortunately the person has a predisposition to mental disorder, they then can develop a mental disorder. They can become schizophrenic or suffer from what we call ganja-induced psychosis or cannabis-induced psychosis, in which case that young person will need to see a psychiatrist, will probably have to be put on drug therapy, and sometimes they will come back, sometimes they won't. It's like playing Russian roulette. So that will affect the family. And we've had instances where young people are in university, they're good students, they start to smoke ganja, or they're mixing it with something else, and they have a mental breakdown, a psychosis, and they're never the same. They end up usually dropping out of school. That's a possibility with marijuana-induced psychosis. With alcohol, there is a trend. So if your young people, again, start drinking too much, which means that when they're drinking, they don't know when to stop. So they keep drinking until they get drunk. That is when it is time for some kind of intervention to be done. Cocaine, whether it is powdered cocaine or crack cocaine, can be devastating to a family. It can destroy a family, and gambling can destroy a family. So addiction is really a family disease. It's a disease of the brain. And what a lot of people don't realize that, for example, if somebody is addicted to pain medication or is addicted to cocaine or alcohol, it's not as simple as them being able to stop because they love their family. The urge to use is so great that at that point, if it gets to that point, the whole family needs to be involved in treatment, but that person usually will need to go into a treatment program. They need to be removed from their drug in order to have a chance of ever being clean and staying clean. So know where your kids are, speak with them, put some restrictions there. It's really important that we do parent during those teenage years. Here at Rise Life Management Services, we do individual counseling. I do family interventions. So if a family has somebody that needs an intervention, I will come into the home and I will do interventions, or they can do it here at the office. And we do individual and group counseling. We also do drug testing here. Drug testing must be a part of it. Unfortunately, a drug addict is very good at lying and being manipulative. And I keep saying it's a disease because I want people to understand that it is a brain disease. That does not get them off the hook, because again, somebody has to admit that they want help in order to get help, and that's very, very difficult. And so we use tough love. So the person no longer gets any money. We've had parents that we've had to convince to lock their child, hopefully they're adults by then, out of the home. So they have to hit rock bottom in order for them to agree that they need to get help. Because as long as we're enabling, as long as we're paying for their food, as long as we're giving them a roof over their head, as long as we're paying off their bills, or if they're gamblers, paying their debts, they're never ever going to stop. What you're actually doing as a family member or friend is you are helping that person to stay with their addiction, and in the end, you're probably helping them to kill themselves.
Drugs profits no one. Once again, we remind you, it's just a simple call away. Crime Stop Jamaica 311. Call us if you have information on any of our missing people.
No story can be a positive story if it unfolds at the expense of rights, freedoms, health, even life itself.
Illicit drugs destroys lives. We leave you on that note until we meet again next time on CS311. I'm Deidre Dixon.
And I am Leroy Hall. Many thanks to our sponsors, Musson Foundation, National Bakery, King Alarm, and Grace Kennedy.